You people in Australia have... Oh. You people in Australia have every reason to be proud of your fighting forces, more especially when it is realised that each and every member of those fighting forces is a volunteer soldier. We, the Australian soldiers in the Middle East, take great pride in this fact that we are volunteers. But we also realise to maintain the splendid record of the 2nd AIF, a continual stream of reinforcements is necessary to successfully enable us to take part in destroying the Axis forces. Admittedly, recent war news has been heartening, and there is no doubt that the war is taking a turn to our advantage. But to become unduly optimistic and to slacken off our efforts at this stage would be suicidal. Now is the time for all good Australians to make a supreme effort, whether in factory, home or workshop, and more particularly with regard to those necessary reinforcements to reinforce us and support us in dealing a final crushing blow to the enemy. May I be privileged to direct my appeal particularly to those of you with little or no responsibilities, whether in the Home Defence Forces or not, who have not yet decided to become part and parcel of the 2nd AIF, the members of which are prepared to sacrifice everything to ensure that Australians may live their own lives in their own way. We leave it to you. If you are not prepared to give everything, to ensure... We leave it to you. If you are not prepared to give everything to ensure that Australians may retain the right to live their own lives in their own way, we do not want you with us. But if you do consider that the freedom that we as Australians enjoy is worth defending, then join us in this, the greatest... We leave it to you. If you are not prepared to give everything to ensure that Australians retain the freedom to live their own lives in their own way, we do not want you with us. But if you do consider that the freedom that we as Australians enjoy is worth fighting for, then join us in this, the greatest brotherhood that manhood of Australia has been privileged to join. We leave it to you, full of confidence that our appeal will not be in vain, and that soon you will be joining us as a volunteer soldier of the 2nd AIF.
Unless every man is ready and willing to take his place by our side, we're going to feel the strain when the big test comes. Taking stock of recent action in the Middle East, there's one fact that stands right out, and that's the need for a constant flow of men from Australia to keep the AIF at fighting strength. The boys over here need more than your good wishes. They want men of their own age beside them, here, where it can do so much good. The safety of our own country will be decided overseas, not at home.
The men you're about to see are reinforcements recently arrived in the Middle East. They are being reviewed by Colonel W D Chapman, Chief Ordnance Mechanical Engineer of the AIF. They have completed their recruit training and are about to be drafted to mechanical engineering units such as Light Aid detachments, Army field workshops, or in the base. At the conclusion of the Cyrenaican campaign, it was realized that due to the intense mechanization of modern warfare, it is necessary to have increased resources for our repair and maintenance. I was sent back to Australia with the purpose of raising additional personnel. It was felt when I left here that great difficulty would be met with. This was far from the case. After my arriving in Australia, several radio talks, newspaper articles and advertisements were put in the papers, and we had no difficulty whatever in raising these personnel. We have at present 1,400 who were raised in less than 10 weeks. They have completed their course and are about to be drafted to their units. We feel that so long as response as ready as that can come from Australia, the AIF will be looked after.
During these last days, I have seen several parades. The first one was of a formation that had just come from the battlefields. Thin, drawn, strong young Australians, fined down by their experiences and by their difficulties, but grown into strong men and developing a grand personality, a personality not of the individual so much as of the unit with which they serve. The second lot of parades that I saw on the next day were those of young men who have just arrived from Australia, reinforcements who are to take their places with the men who have just come out of the fight. These also are strong young men of which any army would be proud, but they haven't got the mark of battle on them, nor have they on their breasts a few military crosses or a few military medals, or in one or two cases the coveted Distinguished Conduct Medal. They have not been proven. But these others have proved themselves to be worthy of the country that bred them. The others will soon be with them, and their home from now on will be with units in the field. That in that atmosphere they will live and learn and rest. They will learn to forget the pricks of life and to join in as part of the comradeship of the great AIF. And that is what they have to offer them. They have to offer strain, daily and nightly danger, adventure, yes, and full measure, effort, but above all, a growing comradeship. Those of the first parade have been through the ordeal and have been tested in suffering and in endurance and in courage. Those in the second parade are ready to be tested. They have put their lives in the hands of the army, and they too will join with their comrades and prove that they also are true Australians, true as steel, and fit comrades for the men they join. They will learn from them the little tricks, the little details of the art of war. But what of you who are waiting at home? Where do you stand? Are you not ready to trust your manhood? Are you afraid of yourselves? Or why do you wait? The call is great and the need is greater. Cannot you rise in triumph over yourself and your fears and over your responsibilities and difficulties, as all these thousands have done? Can you not trust yourself? Or why do you hesitate? And if you continue to hesitate, I ask you, when you go home tonight, to stand before the mirror and judge yourself. I wonder if you young men of Australia realize that the world is going through the most desperate crisis of all time as regards the fate of humanity. And I wonder if you really accept that the fate of one of us is the fate of all of us, and the fate of the country is the fate of all of us. I wonder if you really appreciate that in the event of the Allied forces being destroyed in this war, in the event of American civilization being overwhelmed, that this country will immediately become the victim of oppression, of aggression, of pillage, and of all the evils that come with having your law and order overridden. All the pleasures that you now seek, all the rights and privileges that you have will go. Your liberty goes. Is life worth retaining? Your home goes. Your parents, your brothers, your sisters, they go at the will of the dominating conqueror. And that is the fate that is reserved for us unless we stand right up to the need, unless we, each of us, settle down to make up our minds that we are going to carry our share of this load and see it through. Your teammates have fought through Cyrenaica. They have been to Greece. They've battled in the cold and the miserable rain. They have fought through Syria, battled through the spurs and the mountain gorges. They are now in Tobruk, suffering the sandstorms of the desert. That is the part they're playing. And they look back and say, I wonder what the team is doing. And they also wonder where the rest of the team are. But there's only one game for you young men in Australia to play now, and that's the grim game of war. And if you're not prepared to play it, then you are going to be a disappointment to us and to yourselves. Now, if you're worthy to stand beside the members of your team and of your town in this great struggle, then it's your duty, definitely, to enlist in the forces and come and do your part.